So let us begin our class, and today is the 12th Sunday after Pentecost, and our text for today is Proverbs chapter 9. In our church setting, it will be first 10 verses, but actually it's great to extend it a little bit because it's like in the chapter itself, there are 3 stanzas, 1 through 6, then 7 through 12, and then from 13 to 18. It's pretty obvious, especially the last one that begins with the 13, because we have somewhat a comparison of the Lady Wisdom in the first part and the second part of that chapter 9, and then beginning with verse 13, the woman folly is loud, so on and so forth. Before we'll go into our chapters today, just for you to kind of like an overview of the book of Proverbs, we have about 7 parts in the book. First goes 1 through 9, and then beginning with 10, the chapter 10 begins very interestingly. The Proverbs of Solomon. So that's where the title for the book comes in. But we need to understand that unlike with other books, this one is called Proverbs of Solomon more traditionally than anything else. A couple examples. If we'll go into chapter 30, so toward the end, in chapter 30, we have the words of Agur, the son of Yakeh, the oracle. And then he gives a speech for the whole chapter. And then 31, which is the last chapter in the book, or last part out of those 7 in the books, is the words of King Lemuel. And actually, it's not even his words, but what is very important is an oracle that his mother taught him. Okay? So what it tells us is, yes, sometimes in the Bible, it's pretty obvious that some things are not of, let's say, in the book of Proverbs, it's not of Solomon. It does not mean that we need to change the title. It's still the Proverbs of Solomon, because they are written in the same style, in the same mode, I would say. And that's important to keep in mind, that their biblical authors were like trying to do their best, guided by the Holy Spirit, to present to us ideas which are important. Okay? So now, with chapter 9, let us go into the text. The first part, verses 1 through 6, what we have there is the wisdom. The idea of the fight between wisdom and folly actually can be traced through the whole book of Proverbs, but it is very prominent for the first part, chapters 1 through 9. We see either a lady, like incarnate, which is seductive, and while her husband is away, hunts on the young man and brings him home, and Solomon compares him as a deer that goes toward, the arrow shot and things like that. So it's very unhealthy to follow the folly. But there is a good part, there is not in her, but there is a good counterpart, is wisdom. Okay? And what is wisdom? Okay? To understand it, we need to go back, to go back into historical books and see something. Let us go to the first book of Kings, into chapter 3. In the first book of Kings, in chapter 3, we see Solomon when he took over the kingdom after his father, King David, and he just married, but some things he understands that he needs more than the regular than in experience and the regular skills of life. So he goes into a place which is called Shem, where the tabernacle was there. So he stays overnight, and in the middle of the night, God appears to him. And God appears to him, and he prays. His prayer is, that he needs wisdom to understand and to discern between good and evil. Because he is not like his father David, and he is young. And if we know the chronology, by this time Solomon was about 20, not more than 25. And the whole kingdom was, in front of him, and he had to guide them. And I am like a little child, he says, and I don't know how to walk before, go out and go in. Okay, so he doesn't know how to present himself as a king. And interestingly enough, God respects his request and says, because you did not ask for gold or for wealth, you did not ask for lives of your enemies, you did not ask for prolonging of your life, but you asked for wisdom that will be given to you. But with that, actually, that will result in your wealth and in length of your life, and you will be able to subdue the life of your enemies. So this wisdom is a very interesting quality that we have in the Bible. Okay? Then, what is very important is right after this dream, right after he acquired this feature, we can kind of probably try to say it this way, something happens. The very next moment that we see in the Bible is two women came to him and claimed, both of them claimed, that the son, which is here, is her son. So how do you solve that problem? See, the thing is, we need to distinguish in the Bible something from a priestly guidance or priestly service, in not the priestly as a present pastoral stuff, but in the Bible, the priests are guided by the Word of God in the very literal sense. Okay? If you want to know what priests should do, and we usually like, oh, it's so many complicated stories. No, not really. I mean, the book of Leviticus is about 20 pages long. Okay? Have you ever went to the, let's say, something, body shop or car shop? Have you seen those children editions of the cars?
What?
Ford 150. Years from 80 to 84. Then another one, Ford 150 from 55 to 59. I'm sorry, from let's say 85 to 89. Then another edition. Same thing, Ford 150. But something changed, and they have a different book for a different truck. And this is just one model of one type of truck. Surprisingly, after a year or two or three or four, those guys who work with that, they know it almost by heart. I mean, it's still on the shelf. They barely use it. Okay? So the same thing, when Levites were going through, it's very, very simple. It's not complicated. If somebody comes to you and you are the priest, and he wants to offer sacrifice, you check the animal, you ask a couple somewhat private questions. I mean, were you with your wife last night? If yes, then you might want to postpone it. If not, then you're welcome. See any blemishes on you, any blemishes on the animal, then lean, you ask the worshiper to lean on the head of the animal, and so on and so forth. It's very, very rigid and well explained. There are no wavering, no right, no left. But with the wisdom, so Solomon sits on the throne and two women came to him. It takes wisdom, divine wisdom. How do you deal with that? There is no portion in 5 books of Moses that will explain how to deal in this kind of situation. So he brings them to the brink of death and life. And that solves it. So wisdom in the Bible is very closely connected with the life and death, with the death and resurrection. Okay? That's important. So, when we see what we see here, and wisdom calls, what she calls and what she claims is essential for our life. So, let's go back to Proverbs chapter 9. Sorry. Lost my mark. So, wisdom has built her house. She has hewn her 7 pillars. So on one hand, those 7 pillars are supportive pillars for the house. Okay, and 7 definitely is not a surprising number. Never ever say or agree with people who will say that 7 is a perfect number. It is not more perfect than number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. All of them are perfect. What 7 most likely symbolize or signifies is a number of completion. So her house is complete. Her house is full in a sense that that's the all covered temple. And then, if you think about this, maybe what's that? Stonehenge would be a good comparison. But there we have like a 12 stone pillars, and most likely it was some kind of temple-like structure. Those pillars are not only to support the roof, but they create the entrances. So with 7 entrances between those pillars, we have a kind of imagery that anybody from any place on earth can come and grab wisdom. It is not restricted to a particular group of people. Only to men, or only to women, only to, whites, or only to blacks, or only to anybody. It is open for everybody, and she calls out for everybody. And what she's also doing is she has slaughtered her beasts or her meat, and she has mixed her wine, and she has set her table. So she invites people for, first of all, not even to listen, but first of all, she invites people to eat. Okay? And not simply to eat to satisfy hunger, it's a feast stuff. Meat and wine, especially in those days, especially meat, is something rare. You do not do it every time. Okay? So she wants to begin with the food. It's kind of not exact statement. Not she wants to begin, but the thing is, since we did not talk about this, but since we saw her from the very beginning of the book, okay, we know that that's where it comes. But she invites us for a feast. And what she says is, whoever is simple, let him turn in here. To him who lacks sense, she says, come, eat my bread and drink my wine I have mixed. Live your simple ways and live and walk in the ways of insight. So again, the thing is, she invites everybody. Not only smart guys that it will be beneficial for her to talk to, that she can enjoy a smart conversation, but she actually invites those who are below, those who are simple, those who are, it even can be translated as foolish. She wants them to come in and be wiser. Okay? That's very important, because sometimes what we see is a distinction, okay, especially in America, what I kind of notice. It's very interesting. We try to say that there is equality, so we do not distinguish between like races or genders or some other things. But still, people have different social groups according to their education, according to their occupation, according to their profession, according to how much money they earn. And what it was very interesting to notice that some groups do not tend to intermix. Representative of these groups do not even feel comfortable in the presence of each other. But the place where those walls are somewhat, at least, should be shattered or even broken is the church. When we come to eat, when we come to drink with the feast of the Lord, seriously, if we will compare anybody's IQ to the wisdom of God, it's still not enough. You can have PhD, you can have 3 PhDs, whatever. You can have a Nobel Prize. It doesn't matter. It's great. It's good that you advance the knowledge. It's good that some people are smart and trying uncover the mysteries of God's creation. This is awesome. But again, even the simple person compared with the Nobel Prize winner, all of that compared to the wisdom of God is that difference is so minuscule. So that's important. So she invites everybody who understands of their lack. And that's an important issue. Those who understand that they need something else, they need more, please come over here. I have prepared everything. And this is an important statement too. I have prepared. They are not bringing gifts. They are not supplying anything for this feast. They are partakers, but they are partakers of this gracious feast. Okay? The feast is fully gracious, is fully provided by the wisdom. Okay? That's an important. And then, verses 7 to 12, we have few important guidelines. Let us begin with wisdom suggestions. Whoever corrects a scoffer get himself abused, and he who reproves a wicked man incurs injury. Do not reprove a scoffer, or he will hate you. Reprove a wise man, and he will love you. Okay? So we see here that there are two, generally speaking, though there are three terms, but two main groups of people. Those who like to be corrected, therefore they can improve, and those who are not. Okay? And the wisdom suggests, if you see a person who does not want to be corrected, don't even waste your time. There are other people who might need your help or advice or support or encouragement. Otherwise, nothing else but hatred toward you will happen out of that. But if you will reprove a wise man, he will love you. Give instructions to a wise man, and he will be still wiser. Teach a righteous man, and he will increase in learning. And then the middle one, the center of this second paragraph is, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is insight. Okay? Again, this is very important. The beginning or the foundation, okay, the very source of wisdom, and the word which is here is same type of word, same root of the word that we have in the very beginning of the Bible. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay? So the beginning of wisdom, the foundation of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. Notice, not the fear of God. Why? We talked about this. It is related to the term God in the Bible. Because God in the Bible is not necessarily one true God. Sometimes word God stands and identifies a human being. Sometimes word God identifies other powers that are higher than you are or I am. Okay? But the Lord is a personal name of God. So theoretically, technically, we can have a pencil, cross out Lord, and write Jesus. Okay? It will be too short. I would say, triune God. We can do that. Or Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. So the fear of this triune creator who did not only create it, but also solved and sanctifies the world even now. So this relationship with this guy is the foundation of wisdom. Therefore, outside of the biblical wisdom, there is no true wisdom. It could be good, mature life skills, but it's not wisdom in the biblical sense of the word. And what we go out of that, it's kind of like, as I notice sometimes, there is this chiastic structure. So we have an entering, we have a center, the fear of the Lord, and what we go out is, for by me your days will be multiplied. Remember, we talked about this when I said, I brought an example of the Solomon, of the King Solomon, who asked for wisdom, and then his days were prolonged, the days of his enemies were shortened, and he got, increased in wealth. But most importantly is, by me your days will be multiplied, and years will be added to your life. If you are wise for yourself. If you scoff, you alone will bear it. So again, it brings together the wise man and the scoffer, and the right comparison is your wisdom is the wisdom that you obtain. It's not the wisdom that, in a sense, that kind of internet is an attempt to overcome this statement. Modern kids having 24/7 access to the greatest library do believe that they know everything. Why? Because you can click, you can push with your finger, Google will appear, and you type everything, and you will have an answer. No, you will not. That's what in you. That's what you acquired. That's what you experience, and that's what you are ready to use at any given moment. Otherwise, it is not yours. It is somebody else's. Okay? And with this verse 10, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, we can see the parallel with the beginning of the book. If we'll go in chapter 1, verse 7, that's basically the main motto of the book laid out right there. Proverbs 1:7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, and fool despise wisdom and instruction. So the second part is a little bit different, but this idea that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. So if people want to gain wisdom, they need to, first and foremost, keep and maintain their proper relationship with the creator of the universe. That statement is also repeated in some Psalms, and we will have one of them today in the worship service. So that's all I wanted to say for today, actually.